Good evening, Metal Faithful. It is I, the mandated reporter, and frankly unmortified Mr. Mark Radulich, and this is the Metal Hammer of Doom. Tonight, we are taking a look at an album that came out back in April, amidst the world falling apart. April 17th, 2020, from Finland, Turmion Kätilöt. I have absolutely no idea if that's how you pronounce it, but that's what we're going with. Turmion Kätilöt. And to the boys in the band, each one is a bad mother in his own right. It's MC Rockapi, Shag U, Masturbates. While the servant waits, while the masturbates. DQ on the drums, Runk on the synths, and Bobby Undertaker, no relation to Mark Calloway Undertaker, I'm sure, on the guitar. If I'm messing up the band's name, I'm not doing a bit. I'm just illiterate when it comes to Finnish names. So I hope Turmion Kätilöt's right. If it's not, whatever. The new album, Global Warming, as I said, came out April 17th, 2020, and I didn't pick this one. I should have, considering what it is. I didn't know what it was. But here to talk about what it is and what it was and what it could be. Ladies and gentlemen, he's back and he's better than ever. Jesse Starcher, how are you?
Mark Radulich. Let's get our apologies out of the way to anybody who has at least an inkling on how to pronounce either the song names, which, by the way, we're going to be using Google Translate tonight to translate the songs into English, at least the song titles. So we can kind of give you an idea as to maybe what they're about. But, yeah, we're sorry. We cannot pronounce Finnish dialect in any way, so we're going to have our American spin on it. So Turmion Kätilöt is what it's going to be, Finnish. Mark Radulich.
Finnish? I barely even started.
Oh, my.
Hi-oh.
Hey. Yeah, so these guys hopped on my radar. It was 2017, I believe, and somehow, some way, I stumbled upon Dance Panic. I don't know why, unless I know I had Spotify going at the time, so maybe that showed up in one of my...
I was going to say, like, was this after I hipped you to KMFDM and you might have been listening to that? Because this is this band, and even the songs you sent me from Dance Panic, very, like, European industrial KMFDM-ish. Very, very good possibility it may have been, because I would imagine that Spotify probably said, hey, check this out. And I was like, I want to check some more out. So I hopped into Dance Panic and listened to everything that was on there and was really surprised that it was something that I would enjoy. We had talked about Rammstein on here before, and I was not really, I don't know, listening to music where I can't understand what the words are in a completely different language never tickled my sack. Okay, that was not a sack tickler, Mark Radulich. But you put it with some great, I don't know, some great heavy riffs, some EDM maybe every once in a while, and throw in some industrial, and it seems to me that I can enjoy that. So Dance Panic was like, I was like, holy crap, this is a really great band. And I got to thinking of you. I was like, man, maybe we'll catch the next album and we'll do it on the Metal Hammer of Doom. They dropped another one in 2018. I had missed, I guess is probably the best word to say. I don't know why I missed this album. Universal Satan comes out, and I don't think I'd listened to it up until just probably about a week ago. So I don't know what happened on that album, but I can tell you if it followed up Dance Panic and was just as good, then, you know, I listened to it, I think, one time here recently, and nothing jumped off to me like Dance Panic, but it was something that most likely it would probably get repeat listens if I listened to it just a little bit more. And then Global Warning hits 2020. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Studio album.
That's right. So I said, Mark, I want you to see what you think of this band. I had a feeling you might probably like some of the stuff off of here.
I liked all of it, man. Like, this was, when you initially put this out, I thought this was like a progressive band, and I was like, my eyes kind of crossed. Not that I don't like progressive music, but I was like, oh, more of this, more of kind of what we do a lot of here, and I wasn't really excited. But I was at work the other day, and I threw this on, and I'm like, oh, this is my jam right here. Like, they described it on the nuclearblast.com website, and it gives you kind of a marketing sheet on this album and this band, and they described it as like disco metal.
Disco metal, okay.
Which, whatever.
Disco means something different to me. I mean, I guess, but all right. I mean, it's something disco. Obviously, you want to dance to it. This has that dance, maybe some beats that would make you want to get up and shake your booty a little bit.
Right, and that's the thing. So I was pleasantly surprised when I heard this. So listen, let's be honest here. We're slack-jawed yokels. We're just some Yankee Doodle dandies.
Indeed.
On this podcast.
Indeed.
And I know some of you listening, you come from the Europe, and you might hear us apple pie eating Nancy Reagan, just say no, and type of dudes. There's no way we're going to be able to do these one song at a time. We're going to bunch these up, 3 songs at a clip. So this might be kind of a shorter review than normal, but we're going to give it a full listen. I can't break these down one by one.
Dude, there's no way we could sit here and talk about
there's not that much there's not that much difference.
Yeah,
from one song to the next.
You're going to see and feel the range of these songs. There's not really that big a range.
No.
So us breaking down anything more past that, what we're probably going to do is just be like, yeah, I like that middle one.
Yeah, this shit ain't Rum Ahoy.
No,
okay?
No, it's not.
There's no Harumba, Harumbi.
That's right, damn it.
No one's gonna. There's no poop deck party going on here. Mm-hmm. The point is, we're gonna jump into it now, and I know Jesse's got the Google Translate going. He's gonna fill in all the details here. I can't even begin to pronounce these in their original Finnish. So we've got the first 3 tracks here. We've got Naitu, and then something with a K, and then
Here you go.
There you go.
The first song's translated to as in Naitu, I think, comes out as marriage.
Okay.
The second song comes out
is what brings us together.
And then the second one is plowing goat.
Sure.
And then number 3 is maybe something you say to your wife every once in a while. Spit on it.
Don't be a dirty girl.
Oh my!
Which, by the way, I did that bit at work with the liberal snowflake that I work with.
Oh,
she did not find that amusing at all.
Well, how are you surprised?
I almost had to go see Edna in HR.
There's Mark again. Take a seat.
All right. Speaking of Edna in HR, here we go with the scenario. All right, so let's take these one at a time here. What was the first one called again?
Marriage.
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 I think with these three, you get a pretty good idea of how the whole album's going to go, because some of the stuff leads on the more EDM, disco, techno, hip hop side. Some of it becomes a little bit more metal. That's definitely tracks 2 and 3 tend to lean on the more metal side. That first one kind of reminded me, a couple of shows back, we talked about like cadence and how people when they're rapping, sometimes like how they can deliver the lyrics. And the example that I use is sort of a really good example of what I was talking about at the time was actually from Pitch Perfect. I think it was either 2 or 3, where the Germans come out and they do the Fall Out Boy song.
Yeah.
And I kind of played it as a joke, but like I actually like the way that sounds, and there's a lot of that kind of thing going on in Marriage. Now, the second 2 songs there tended to be a little bit more traditionally more metal-oriented, industrial, and less EDM, less hip-hop sounding.
Yeah. I think we have a solid opener. I was kind of worried that we were going to be... I'm not a devout fan of this band, so I don't know much of anything that came before Dance Panic, so I didn't know what we were going to get, if they were going to try and vary their style any. I was hoping they wouldn't, and I was very pleased. The first song is what I wanted from this band. We keep the pedal to the metal, if you will, as we go through 2 and 3, plowing goat and spit on it. So it's...
that was the name of a porno I was watching earlier.
If you don't know much about this band, take a look at the cover of this album, and you'll have a good idea of what they're about.
You'll have a very good idea.
Yeah, you got 2 hooded naked ladies covering their genitalia and their
business.
Yes. Then we have we have what looks to be like a turntable, but maybe that's not the case. We got a big disco ball. We got barbed wire. We got a bunch of guns laying on this table.
We got 2 turntables and a microphone. Where it's at, Jesse Starcher?
Oh, it's right there. All of it's right there on the cover. So yeah, this band, if you dive into the lyrics, which I did have, just a few moments today to kind of look at some of the lyrics of these songs and translate them over. And yeah, there's a lot of discussion about sex and of course all your classic black dark metal stuff is in there, blood and yeah. So it's representative of what I wanted from this band. So by the way, Turmion Kätilöt translates loosely. I think they had it literally as midwives of ruin or midwives of perdition, according to the wiki.
That sounds perfect. Considering, like, I grew up, musically with bands like Sisters of Mercy and shit like that.
Midwives of ruin.
Yep. That all connects.
I like it.
All right. Ready to move on to the next one? Let's
do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you... tell me, sir. I'm not even going to struggle fucking with these.
I'm telling you, like I said, there's no way we would even be able to do this language justice.
No.
Okay, song 4 is titled Anger and Love.
Okay.
Song 5, I believe there has to be, something lost in translation here. Security word. I'm sure it's safe word. And then song 6 is The Roots of Death.
Well, that all sounds spectacular.
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right, so here we go. All the things she said. Jesse Starcher just said. So one of the things I was reading about with this band is they will get the crowd to like do sing-alongs and shit.
Right.
I could see that.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you know the language and you know the lyrics, I could this is some catchy shit.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
The other thing I was thinking about as I was listening to it, I was trying to figure out like what bands this reminds me of, because I think it's like low hanging fruit to be like, oh, it's industrial, it's KMFDM. Not quite. There's vocally, it has more of like a Soulfly feel to it.
Okay.
Like there's more of a growl in
Yes.
the vocals.
Oh yeah.
So like I'm not saying like there's necessarily a lot of tribal elements to it. I'm saying like when I hear the growl, and I'm just throwing Soulfly out there as an example, but I'm hearing more of a guttural growl in the vocals than I'm hearing anything clean. And I was thinking about like other modern bands of this type, you know, Rammstein tends to be cleaner, tends to be deeper.
Yes.
Same thing with KMFDM. Like they get a little screamy at times, but for the most part, it's a very deep, clear voice that you hear in the vocals. Ministry is always very distorted. Mm-hmm. Al used vocal distortions and whatnot. So,
yeah, you're the industrial expert on this podcast. I wouldn't know for sure, other than some of the bands that you've mentioned that we've listened to together. But I'd say 90% of what we hear vocally is all harsh. Mm-hmm. They do have some clean in there every once in a while. Obviously, like on the chorus and stuff like that, they do get to you hear some clean singing. But that
first of that set, anger and sex and violence.
Oh, love and anger.
Love and anger. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
I feel like that one was trending towards the more dancier side, but then you would get to the lyrics and it would pick up being very harsh again. So like there's almost like a pattern here of like for every one song that tends to be on the dancier side, you have two that are more traditional, harder metal with maybe a bit of an EDM edge to it, but not much. Not as much as our first track and our fourth track.
Yeah. Yeah, I come into this like I lost the song titles. Hooray, hurrah. Which, by the way, I just want to point this out because I know I'll forget when we get to the end. If you look at the last song, Mosquito a la carte, it says to be continued. Contiuned.
Yeah.
Okay? It's completely misspelled. So I was like, notice this is part 5 of this song. I know I go back and I take a look and it's misspelled. There's 5. This is the 5th track. On the last 5 albums, they put a final track on there, and it's got the misspelling on every single song. So they did that on purpose. Anyway, okay. So yeah, as for what we just heard here, what was the one that was slower? Hold on a second here. There we go. Anger and Love. That was song number 4. That was probably the slowest song you're going to get on this album, because it's really like it's almost kind of like a if you want to say this band can do a ballad of some sort or a love song, I guess that would probably be it. You don't hear these guys slow down very often, and they did with that one. So just real quick, The Roots of Death. I grabbed the chorus. I wanted to translate that for you, just so you could get an idea of what they're talking about. So here we go. Let me grab
The Roots, the radio, my stereo. Get on the roots, the radio. Get on
there
the
you
roots.
go.
No, sorry.
Someone hopes to rise from the dead. Another forever on fire, hell burning. My own mirror image is horrible. In the eyes of a liar, I see myself fucking. Self-portrait in fragments with the gods. My own mirror image is horrible in the eyes of a liar. That was the chorus, translated by Google. So yeah, a lot of dark imagery here, a lot of stuff that fits with the whole metal motif. So so far I'm liking what I'm hearing. I don't think it's living up to what I liked from Dance Panique, but
why do you say that?
Well, it just seems like there was a lot more catch on that album than there is here.
Okay.
This feels more like, and I shouldn't say that. It is, to me, background noise. Can't really,
Are you saying this is less dancey than the previous Dance Panique?
I guess I would probably say that.
Okay.
It's not as heavy and it's not as catchy. So yeah, I guess if it's catchy, you want to bob your head. There's 2 songs I think on here that really make me go, okay, here we go. I bob my head and I'm dancing and I'm tapping my feet. Some of these songs aren't grabbing me as much as Dance Panique did, but I can tell you, after giving this a few listens, when I first listened to this album, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm going to have a whole lot of good things to say. This is a grower, not a shower, for sure. This is one that will take a few listens, and then you'll be like, okay, I can get down with what they're doing, and just have it on and actually, enjoy what you're doing. I played this like 4 times while I was working today. Never felt the inclination to push skip at all. So I'm ready to go to the next 3, Mark.
Well, you got to tell me what they are, Sonny.
Oh, I do, as a matter of fact. All right, so we're getting into 7, 8, and 9 here. Number 7 translates to In Deep Waters.
Okay.
Number 8 is, I'm sure there's something lost here, Say When Enough.
Say you, say
me, say when. And then number 9, I doubt there's anything lost in translation here. It is completely translated as God damn it.
Sweet.
So there you go. That's 7, 8, and 9.
All right. Well, here we go then. Let's get on with the show. All right, so right off the bat,
Yeah.
this album only works when it leans more on the EDM.
I love what you're saying. That is exactly how I feel.
And it is more up-tempo.
When you listen to track 9, loosely translated as God Damn It, that is what I think I wanted this album to be.
Yeah.
Because track 9 is by far my favorite off of here. Even with In Deep Waters, track 7, it starts out with that EDM at the beginning. You could tell it's got EDM elements all over it, and that makes me want to get up and do some dancing.
Right.
And I wanted more of that.
I'll tell you what, the problem with this album is because they keep, like, I don't know, you told me to play some tracks from Dance Panique in preparation for this podcast. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of with you now. Now that I'm giving this a second listen, and I'm thinking back to what I got out of Dance Panique, like, it's almost as if the feedback they got from previous albums was, know your fan base. Mm-hmm. Your fan base likes it heavier, likes it harder, so try to appease them. Do less dancey stuff. But, like, just from our...
Lean fucking into it.
Yeah. Like, we've done stuff like that on here before. Ray of Light being one example.
Yeah.
And we, it was super enjoyable, if for no other reason than it was so different than everything else we'd ever listened to. Whereas this, outside of a handful of tracks on here, is way too samey, and I keep hearing Soulfly. Not that Soulfly's bad, but I got it. We've got plenty of Soulfly.
Yeah, that's one of the criticisms that I read in some of the reviews, is that by, at 9 tracks in, they are getting just a little samey, same tone, same, let's do some variations.
They're not stretching with the medium at all.
Yeah, when you hit track 9, that's a standout track for me. So I guess if you're going to say samey and you throw something in at track 9 that really blows your socks off, then okay, well, I guess that might be an argument against it being the same tone. But regardless, it's still, I want more of God damn it, I want more God damn it.
Perfect.
So I watched the video to Say When Enough, track 8 there, and it's something like we would have had a good time doing a Metal Hammer of Doom extra for. The band is sitting there in this lady's house, but apparently she can't see them. And I don't know if you remember hearing the glass break in the middle, right at the beginning of that song. She's walking around, and one of the band members picks up a glass of wine and drops it on the ground, and she's freaking out because she believes there's a ghost in the house. And how many Metal Hammer of Doom extras have we done where we've almost said that's happened? And I think, oh my goodness, I can't remember the Mystery of a Blood Red Rose. What was the name of that band? Either way, they had hidden that gigantic house.
Is that Dream Theater?
No, it wasn't Dream Theater. We got in trouble for making fun of their cannon drums.
Are you sure that wasn't Dream Theater?
I'm pretty certain. What's Mystery of a Blood Red Rose? Avantasia?
Blood, maybe. Mystery of a Blood Red Rose.
Yes,
Avantasia.
got it. Okay, that's what I thought.
It was Avantasia. I was close.
All right, yeah, Dream Theater, Avantasia. But anyway, it was an interesting video to say the least. These guys, I mean, if you take a look at the band, and any of their, at least the couple pictures that I've seen, I say any, a couple of pictures of the video, they are, black metaled out, white faces and black eye makeup. They're a sight to behold.
Just totally rocking the corpse paint.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right. What do you got for me next?
Oh, well, track 3 was Spit on It. We have the sequel, loosely translated for track 10.
Don't you drop a single bit.
Tear me open.
Yeah.
Oh my. And then track 11, The Song of Sinners. and track 12 is called Sorry.
Yes. Okay. Great. Here we go.
Now, listen, if you can do all four and finish this out, because the final track is Mosquito a la carte, you're more than welcome to do that.
All right, we'll do Pavarotti. We'll do all four.
All right, then. Mosquito.
I mean, look, I liked about 2/3 of it. There's a third of it that I was like, it's fine, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I think if I forced to give like a real. By the way, people listening to this review are gonna be like, "Why did he keep bringing up Soulfly and miss the fucking obvious one?" Yes, the lyrics, the vocals sound just like Children of Bodom.
Okay.
Do you need to hear Children of Bodom?
The last thing that I heard from Children of Bodom was the one that gets played all the time. What's the one that we always hear on the metal playlist on Spotify? Hold on, I will tell you as I find Children of Bodom. That would be "Are You Dead Yet?"
Yeah. If you go back, especially like the earlier Children of Bodom stuff, the vocals are right out of that. But instead of it being more of like progressive death metal, black metal, that sort of thing, it's you have this other side of it. Look, when it was heavily laden with beats and less with traditional metal, I was preferring the album. When it tended to lean the other way, I wasn't enjoying it as much. I mean, as background music, I could definitely play this over and over again. And this is good typing notes music.
Sure.
Like if I need something to kind of tap into my ADD, and have my brain focus on something so that I can like focus on what I'm writing, this is good. The fast beats, the harshness definitely kept me focused. When I have to sit down and actually focus on it, though, focus on the actual music, like I said, I would say part of it, like a third of it, I loved. A third of it was fine, and it had enough energy that despite it being a little harder than I would have liked, and I like heavy music, don't get me wrong, I've said that enough times on this show, but I think for this, not just because you like heavy music doesn't mean everything has to be heavy. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my takeaway for this album, was this one feels like they were attending to their fans that prefer the heavier side of this and want less dancey stuff, and then I think they lost a part of themselves in it. So maybe not their best effort, maybe a less good effort than their previous ones. That's my word on the subject.
All right then. So just real quick, Angry Metal Guy, he actually reviewed the album.
Oh shit!
Or whoever. Let's see. Let's make Garden Stale. Posted by Garden Stale on April 17th, 2020. They gave this album a 3 out of 5, which they, 3 out of 5 according to their rating system is good.
Yeah.
We have, let me see here. What was did Metal Exposure give us Metal Exposure. MetalExposure.com gave it an 8 out of 10. And
so far, is it getting high marks?
Yeah, there's some pretty high marks here. Does this have a rating on it by chance? No, it does not. Kerrang! Let's see.
I would give it a 3 out of. I would give it a 3 out of 5.
You'd be right there with Kerrang! I think this is not. I would say this is average. I mean, not anything that is. There's a couple really good tracks on here. In order for an album to be really good, in my opinion, you got to have at least 50, we'll say 60 to 75% of the tracks being something that I really, really like. Yeah. And that's not this.
But that's the thing, like in the past, like that's why I've given such high marks to things like Ailstorm and Rumahoy and Steel Panther, because everything stood out.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know people like, why does he only like the silly things? I'm sorry, I don't know how else to get your stuff to like Robert and I talked about Nightwish. You couldn't hear me on that show, but we talked about it. We also talked about Ozzy, and there was stuff for us to talk about on those shows. But again, like for a lot of albums, I guess it's not worth it for the band itself to put anything less than 10 tracks on there. But I would say most bands these days, and I'm not the only one saying this, because I've actually seen this on a few metal blogs now, where musicians in general, I think, are struggling to differentiate themselves from others. And it's a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again.
I think we're at an age though where we have access to so much more than we did 10 years ago. I mean, really, let's just say 2005, I was able to download albums off of the internet, but I wasn't able to get in there and find like who sounds like this as easy as I can now.
Right.
We don't have Pandora that's able to just kind of get a good idea of the algorithm of your taste and maybe give you a little bit more.
You know what I do now on Spotify when I'm at work? I pick a band or a song and I just go radio.
Yep, I've been doing that here a lot lately too. Like, okay, I want to see what else is out there, and radio is a good way of doing that. And you know, we're kind of spoiled now, and so when bands are struggling to differentiate themselves, you know, you got to get seen as well.
Right.
With so much out there.
So my wife and I were talking about podcasts earlier, and how
everybody's got one.
Yeah, everyone's got a fucking podcast. I mean, like, I don't want to get into what brought this up, but let me say this much. If you're a podcaster out there and you're struggling with your listenership, don't fret none. We all are. Because outside of a handful of podcasts that have been adopted by celebrities or a part of celebrity networks, you know, or are just goddamn lucky, the market is so overly flooded, and then you're only talking about like a niche product. Not everybody listens to podcasts. Like, I still run into people who think like having a podcast, you know, means you're magic, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry. I think people, for the most part, listen to like a lot of like crime and mystery and like serial killer type stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of self-help out there that people listen to, but then that's it. Then you're just into very niche things. And I've talked about this before. When you've got a zillion entertainment podcasts all covering the same stuff, all covering the same movies, all covering the same TV shows, it becomes down to just luck that somebody finds you.
Yeah.
And then you have to not be garbage for them to stay with you. And then how long do you think people are listening to podcasts for? So that's just podcasts, though. Look at the amount of music that's out there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, look at the amount of music that you have access to with no barrier to entry. Because it used to be that if you wanted new music, you got to go down to the Tower Records.
Yeah, and technology is nowhere near what it was back then. You know, let's flip that. In other words, back then, you didn't have a cell phone on your hand, on your waist, and earbuds in your ear, ready to go with just a push of a couple buttons. You had to work to get that music.
Yeah.
Back then, you had to do some legwork. You had to listen. The opportunity to listen to other music was just basically not there.
Remember when the writable disc and the Discman was like, oh my god, I can make my own CD mixes.
Oh yeah. I still have my first ever CD that I didn't make. I actually had a friend of mine make. It was a bunch of Bone Thugs and Harmony songs that I had found, stuff that you probably can't really find. Some of the stuff you can't find too easily nowadays. But and I say that
everything's on YouTube.
Well, good luck. I've tried to find it. Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably there.
So what all this to say, you really have to, and I go back to some of the stuff we've talked about on this show. Some of the sillier things, they stand out. They're set apart from their peers because they're so outlandish.
Yeah, and they have that, that ability to just grab an audience and keep it entertained. Glory Hammer kept me entertained. I don't know if it keeps a whole lot. Ailstorms. There's surface fun with that album, and then when you dive deep into the lyrics, there's even more fun with that album. It's catchy and it stands out. So
I listened
I
to
hear
the
you.
new. I listened to the new Trick or Treat after I listened to this, and the new Trick or Treat's good. We would have covered it had we were able to keep the schedule, but Trick or Treat: The Legends of the 12 Saints. I listened to it. It was good. I had a fun time with it. Did it stick with me? Not really. It was one of those things where I listened to it while I was typing up notes and while I was working, and I enjoyed it while I was listening to it. Trivium: What the Dead Men Say. That was another one we were supposed to do on here.
Yeah, and it fell flat. I remember listening to it and going, "Hey, this is okay, all right, this is all right." But then it was kind of like there. It wasn't anything that I went back and checked out.
I have stuff from earlier in the year that I listened to. Had we been able to stay on track, and there would have been a list of stuff I was doing for the show, and then things for the end of the year show that we always do. Stuff that we just couldn't get onto the schedule. And so I've listened to the new Burning Witches, the new My Dying Bride. I think I got into Intronaut on Thorns I Lay, and I remember listening to him at the time and going, "Yeah, these are all good." Having an enjoyable time here, but nothing where I was like, "Oh my god, this sticks with me."
Yeah.
I got to share how many you and I will send each other tracks, but how often are we doing that these days?
Yeah. Indeed.
All right. Anything else on?
Oh well, yeah. Just
Turmion
real quick.
Kätilöt?
Yes, my review. Again, we've kind of covered most of how I feel about the album. It checks boxes for me. I am an EDM fan. I'll listen to that. Just straight EDM if I get the opportunity. And usually I'll put that on and do some.
Do you roll when you
some
do
work?
it?
Do I what?
Do you roll?
Do I roll?
Yeah, I'm making a drug joke.
Oh, the reefer, the cannabis sativa.
No, not the. God damn it, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm talking about MDMA, ecstasy. God damn it.
Whoa, see, yeah, I don't know. I know you've been to a few clubs, Mark Radulich. You're way more experienced in that than I am.
I went to a club in Levittown, New York, and I was wearing skater pants, and I had on a St. Louis Blues hockey jersey, and I was and I'm fat and it's hot, so I'm drinking water while I'm dancing. And somebody asked me if I was rolling because when you do ecstasy, you dehydrate real bad, so everyone drinks water.
That's right. Yeah.
So I apparently look like a guy who was doing ecstasy. So that was pretty funny.
Well, I'll have to remember that one next time. If somebody asks me if I roll, I'll be like, or if I am rolling, however you term it.
You're so I just want to see. I want to see do you roll? I certainly do. And then you just tuck into a ball and roll away.
Fall down on the ground and just yep. Watch me roll.
I certainly do. Whee!
Perfect. But yeah, it checks some boxes for me. It's metal. It's EDM. It's industrial. There's all three of those things I tend to enjoy. And also the other thing that I hadn't had a chance to mention. We talked about it, but I know that on this podcast I have said that I'm a fan of harsh vocals and clean vocals, and they do that in this album as well. I think that's what really kind of turned me on to them when I first heard them.
I didn't really hear any clean vocals though.
There's clean in there. Trust me.
Okay. I'd have to go back and listen to it again. Maybe.
What's his name? I can't remember the one guy. Shaka
Khan.
Shaka Khan.
Lofty neck.
Shag you.
Lofty neck.
Anyway, so yeah, I'll put it on. I'll do some work. I'll listen to it. It's not offensive. I didn't feel like I needed to skip anything. So it gets. Let's pick a track, Mark, because we know what tracks are, what they're called, and everything. I'm going with track 9.
Are we still doing this?
Yes, it is part of a thing. I have the playlist created.
Okay.
So you have to choose a track.
Fine, I'll do Naidu.
You not the first one? Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good pick. All right, man. That's all I have to say.
All right, next week we got Lamb of God. It'll be a very different show.
Oh man, I cannot wait. Has it dropped yet, or is it dropping this Friday?
Drops, depending on when you're listening to this, it drops June 19th, and same day as Mushroom Head, as a matter of fact. And we'll be reviewing the new Mushroom Head on July 1st.
That'll be good. That'll be a good Friday. This coming Friday, then. Can't wait to hear that Lamb of God.
And then I'll have. Then we'll take a break. I'll do a little Looney Tunes with Alexis Hana. Then we'll come back July 15th, and we'll do the new Ennis Ferrum. And we'll take another break. And just in time for the new Static X Project Regeneration. What do you think about that?
Right, they don't delay that again.
Yeah, assuming they don't delay it. I think that's all I got here. The Static X comes out the same day as the new Ennis Ferrum. Why did I wait a week on this? I don't know. Probably give you a break. That, and I think I have 3 shows that week, and I'm trying to not record 4 nights in a row.
Probably a good idea.
Even though I'm doing a little bit better. I didn't like have problems breathing today. I didn't like pass out.
Oh, you sound good, dude.
Yeah, I didn't cough all night. I've been listening to some of my older shows where it sounds like I'm gonna die on the show.
I'll never forget that source material where I just like, holy shit, he's done. We're going to hear Melissa scream for a phone.
They're like, wow, and that was going to be a canned show, so you'd have had a recording of me dying in the background.
I would not know. Gosh,
the last known recording of Mark Radulich. No, I'm doing all right now.
Good
in theory. So we got a review of Backlash in the can. We got a review of Artemis Fowl, which we threw that one over the pinball machine. Holy shit.
Over the pinball machine.
Oh, boy. We had our way with it.
Tilt was going off all night long.
Goddamn right. We got a review of NXT TakeOver. We got a comic strip of The Last Days of American Crime. Fuller House.
Oh, yeah, that was a good
5.
show. I liked hearing you guys talk about that one.
Yeah, that was another one we fucking tore up. But, you know. Mm-hmm. Next week, we're going to look at the award-winning Supergirl being super. Jesse won't be around for that. It'll just be me and Alexis Hana doing a source material live. And then we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and Alexis Hana and I are going to look at Supergirl Season 5. Jesse, as we said, will be back for Lamb of God. And then myself and Sean Comer will, in theory, be doing an on-trial for the Supergirl from 1984. So that's all fantastic.
All that's fit to...
Yeah. I hear you got some shit going on, though.
Yeah, well, upcoming, we should be having a source material for the Superblog team-up where Mark and I sat down and discussed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters crossover from 2014 from IDW Publishing. That was a fun story. On top of that, connected to that, Ronnie Adams comes back.
Crawled out of his hole.
Yes, sir. I said, hey, you want to do a podcast with me where we do nothing but talk about toys and movies? And
he said, is like, Mark going to be there? And you said no, and he said, yeah.
Well, that's good. Count me in. It's like he's done a show about, about stuff like that before. Yeah, so he was like, yeah, I'm down. So we talked some Ghostbusters movies. We talked some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. We went down toy lines. We went down cartoons. We talked 2 hours is what it ended up being, with basically an hour of me and him catching up prior to. If we would have recorded that, it would have been like a 3-hour show. But actually what it's going to end up being after edit will probably be about 2-hour show. But it was a lot of fun. Keep an eye out for that.
He said he was like taking fucking shots at me.
No,
fuck, man.
Mark, it's all in good fun.
Oh.
I'm sure the schedule was mentioned. He wasn't taking no shots at you.
Better not, because in BMO we aimed it. Never mind.
The Superblog team-up expanded. That's right. That's the topic. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye out.
Your fucking buddy over there. He's, every once in a while, he just whips out.
Chris Armstrong?
Yeah. He just whips out a source material.
Is that what we called him?
He just whips out a source material out of nowhere.
Yeah, Chris had that one recorded a while back where him and it was Chris Armstrong, it was Evan Bevins, and it was Al Sedano sat down and discussed Batman Creature of the Night, which just from what I haven't had a chance to listen to the episode, but for the synopsis I read, it sounded very interesting. A neat take by Kurt Busiek, who is a fantabulous writer in his own right. I'm curious as to how that went. I got to listen to a few snippets of the podcast as I was editing it together. But, yeah. So check that out. It's just aired here what was that, 16th, 15th?
Mm-hmm.
15th, yep.
Speaking of the Superblog team-up, my daughter and I, with some participation from my son, watched Flash Gordon because nobody else would watch it with me. And,
hear them violins a-playing.
And we did a commentary track, which was a lot of fun. My daughter just like, I don't understand. Why is this happening? I don't understand. Why is that happening? It's like, shut up. Just fucking accept it.
It's laser beams.
Laser beams.
Yeah,
all right,
man. That sounds like a lot of fun. So, yeah, check it out. June 24th. That should be hitting the airwaves here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. So we also have a Mad Dog for the Unspoken Issues. So that'll be also hitting the airwaves on the 24th as well. That's it. I'm ready to go, Mark Radulich.
What the fuck is Mad Dog?
Mad Dog for Unspoken Issues. That's the
okay.
That's the that is the comic that Bob Newhart was associated with.
Gotcha.
With his Newhart show. Not Newhart, excuse me, his Bob show. He's motherfucker had a show named the Bob Newhart Show, and then he just went to Newhart, and then his next one was called Bob. Like, we were running out of ideas what to call his show.
All right. But Jesse Starcher, I was always glad to have aboard the Metal Hammer of Doom train. This has been the Metal Hammer of Doom. Be well, be safe, and behave.